Hey, one and all, it's your pal Drew Dracy, longtime comic books inker for Marvel, DC, CrossGen, Dark Horse, IDW, Image, a little of this and a little of that. I got 3 novels out for a band called The Demands, a fictional band in Pittsburgh that plays a lot of clubs and parties run by the Russian mob. And our main character, Lainey, she falls in love with the son of the head mobster. It's really edgy stuff. I wouldn't write it in comic book form because it's just dirty, get under your nails ugliness, but it's got a lot of humor and crazy stuff going on. So, and also, I'm available for commissions. I've done tons of cover recreations and individual characters, and of course, I don't have them ready on me, and I'm not going to start this over again. So, Invincible Iron Man. Oh man, my favorite character of all time. Him and Captain America are pretty much tied, but I would say Michelle hit inches him out of touch only because he uses his brains to create an armor suit. I mean, he's just a regular guy. And not only that, but for the longest time, when he had a weak heart, he was very sympathetic that way. And they fixed it, and then for a little while, Bill Mantlo brought it back, and then when David Michelini and Bob Layton came along, they decided to just forget about it and get past, because he had gone through so many heart attack cliches and actually did get permanent help, thankfully. So this was exciting for me, because this was the very second, I think, this is like the second or third Marvel Masterworks of Iron Man. In the original run, there was 27 volumes of Marvel Masterworks. There was 1 Iron Man, 1 Captain America, 2 X-Men, 3 Avengers, and stuff. And then they just stopped publishing around 1994 because it just was not selling as well. And then in the early 2000s, they brought them back, and now they have, like almost 400 volumes of all over the place. So, in today's episode of When Will They Learn, I'm going to start off with the Freak, who is Happy Hogan and Eddie March. And who is that? Who are they? Well, you'll find out in a minute. We got beautiful line work. This is about 1966. It is Adam Austin, Gene Colan penciling it, Gary Michaels, Jack Abel penciling it. Back then, Marvel DC, you didn't compete or you'd lose your job. So that was a nom de plume that they used. Man, what a Kirby cover. So this was kind of becoming a cliche at the time, where Iron Man was low on power, and he'd use just like a, what do you call, extension cord, or even like the cigarette lighter he's used in the past. Oh, there we go. Have emergency charging wire, fits into dashboard cigarette lighter. That's crazy. That's what, you know what it is? It's like when you're at the comics, especially Silver Age comics and that, basically, science kind of circles the drain. You just kind of go with it because it's comics. Back then, especially, so many, every doctor or every genius was like created robots, or like Henry Pym was a biologist, but he minored in robotics and created Ultron. So they're getting over to the factory, and Happy had gotten hurt after this, bringing a crucial component to Iron Man on the battlefield versus Titanium Man. And so he's like, tell me, how was Happy? Did he get into the hospital in time? Yes, he's in the operating room now, and they're using a new surgical technique on him. It's called the Innovator. It's Tony Stark's latest invention. No, they mustn't. But they have to. It's the only thing that will save his life. Without it, the cobalt rate machine can't generate enough. But the Innovator has never been tested. It may have dangerous side effects. It can change a human body and can create a freak. I don't know how he knows that, but, let's go ahead. Why does it have to be happy? Happy. And that senator is always determined to get Iron Man's armor public. That guy's gonna save Happy. And Happy's under the knife with the Innovator. Now, here's the funny thing. Innovator is the opposite of what they want to have. Innervating means taking away energy or power. So the innovator's complete, what do you call, misnomer, I guess is the word. So I think that's Kramer back there eating some junior mints. So they're watching this whole thing going on. Take off. What if we turn? We've got to learn. We must know. What have we done to him? What have he turned? What has he turned into? Too much power. His facial structure is altering. He's not the same. He's beginning to move. So he becomes this crazy ass freak. And what's funny is that is the opposite of what was called a freak back then. Back then, freak sort of started off in San Francisco, and it meant basically you're a long-haired hippie. Like, freak out, man. It's like, look at those freaks over there. So this is the guy opposite. He loses his hair when he becomes a freak. He should have had real long hair, but that's okay. So, it goes on and on. Man, this has been repurposed for, I think there was a poster that came out by Marvel a year later, as well as stickers and T-shirts and all kinds of stuff. So we still have the pseudonyms. Kind of odd for a splash page, but it's, once in a while Gene Colan would just he went with his gut. He was very much like Herbie. I mean, maybe that wasn't worthy of a whole page, and maybe that wasn't as dramatic as it could have been. Sorry, I keep moving it too much. But it's still cool. It's still neat. And he changes. He goes, I feel you happy. Great, splash for a cliffhanger. Hang on, come on, man, focus. And it's still Adam Austin, Gary Michaels. I think he changes back into Happy Hogan, gets his hair back. And the funny thing is that Happy was he was created by Don Heck to have like a cauliflower ear, which means if you're a boxer, you get your ear bashed in one too many times. And so he was kind of like almost like a comedic relief as far as visually, but he was a fun character. He wasn't stupid or anything. But then Gene Colan came on board, and he just cannot draw ugly people. He had to make them handsome. So that's okay. It's just he's like, I'd rather draw handsome people. So now we go to this. I have a lot of these issues, but I'm just doing it in Masterworks forms a lot quicker. Okay. I kept cranking out the Iron Mans over a period of time. Issue 3 of the new era of Iron Man gets his own title. This is sort of like somebody said it was like the twilight of the Silver Age, where all these split books were becoming single books, and the talent was kind of spread thin, and they were getting outside talent, and the books just weren't as consistent as they had been. So we got Johnny Craig, classic artist from EC Comics. He does the first few issues, and it's a very unusual combination because his stuff wasn't geared to superheroics. His was for horror and stuff like that. And then George Tuska comes along in a couple issues, and Johnny Craig inks. I mean, it's a magnificent combination. So the old heart's act up again. Stark in seclusion, playboy industrialist becomes recluse. Pepper, it's a boss. Something's happened. I know it. He supposes his heart. And Happy knows Iron Man. He knows Stark's secret is Iron Man, and he's going to help him. That's really nice. Hold some plans. For months I've been considering revisions to my armor, but battling one menace after another forced me to put them off. My transistors have become outmoded as a source for powering my armor. That's another thing about Silver Age mechanics that in science is that transistors don't power anything. They're a conduit. But who cares? It's a fun story. And like I said, it's very well done. It's just less dramatic than your usual superhero comic. And that's through no fault of Jim Craig's stuff. He They got rid of EC Comics because of the Senate hearings in 1954, and they had to tone it all down. So people like Johnny Craig would have to end up, getting used to doing superhero books, because that was really what was taking over in the 60s and beyond, much more so as the years went by. So he has this remote helmet, and he builds another Iron Man suit using the remote instructions from Stark. Laborious hours of trial and error, like not weeks to make that. I guess maybe Stark had one that was almost finished. It was like at the ready and just needed a couple tweaks. That's what I'm going with. The Cobalt Bombardier gizmo, using its rays, we can force molecules of copper to fuse with Iron Man armor's iron, creating a permanent thermocoupler, and then we'll be able to draw electrical current from the intense heat or cold. Heart starts kicking in. Happy's like hurrying up, because that Knox, I can't play safe while he dies upstairs. Hang on, I'm going to throw everything at hit one blast to speed things up. No, I forbid. So he's trying to help him, but he's kind of woozy. He turns into the Freak. And his hair goes again. That's one thing. His embellishment, Craig's embellishment of Iron Man's armor is really great, and especially when Tusk comes on board. So you have the Freak doing his usual thing. He's always in his, like, not nightgown, but his, what did they give you, when you get surgery and such. So he gets taken out again. This, I got confused for a second with the Freak, but it's actually the next issue with the Unicorn, with the new design by Johnny Craig. It's kind of, I don't know what these are. They're kind of, they seem arbitrary. They've never, been explosives or any kind of weapons, but the helmet's much better than the original. The original was kind of like a triangular shape. So, okay. Learn from your mistake. Live and let live, right? Right. No. Now this comic I got in school once in a while, like in grade school. Even by grade school, if you were going on like 6th grade or you're going up to junior high / middle school, you were, if you collected comics, you were a baby. You were considered a baby. You were considered subliterate by the grown-ups, that you needed pictures to tell you everything. And it didn't help that we don't have it on this, but on the back there'd be these ads for years saying never finished high school. So it just reinforced. So I got this as a back issue. Somebody in class gave it to me. I can't remember what it was. There were a lot of people who came along, bought comics, and they kind of outgrew them, or it just wasn't their thing. So the whole collectible thing wasn't considered at the time, because we're talking mid-70s. Start off with Mike Friedrich era I covered earlier. He did Iron Man for years and years and years, and he actually had Iron Man based in Detroit for a while, which was really neat. It was very different. It was just everybody else was in New York City. Everybody was at Long Island, it seemed, or at least Iron Man was. Good old Tuska. Well, basically, here we go. Memories of his fellow Avenger Thor battling a power prison-controlled Iron Man and defeating him. Only then did Thor discover this is not Tony Stark, but actually Tony's friend, Eddie March. And 1 footnote, 2 footnotes, 3 footnotes. That's crazy. Love that fist. A little bit of cheesecake. So, okay, break out the junior mints. It's time for operating again. And it's Dr. Donald Blake. Whoa, that was F that up. It's good. And Dr. Don Blake, the only doctor in the Marvel Universe, shows up. There's only a way to increase his resistance and strength. What do you mean, Tony? A machine I once designed called the Innovator. It once saved Happy Hogan's life, but also turned him into a mindless freak. Still with adequate precautions. Perhaps it just might work. It's not worth a try. Okay, I trust you. So, there he turns into the freak. I like that a lot. That's pretty cool. So he's a freak too. Gotta get your freak on, man. I love that. I love that transition. Changes, and then, it's like a smash cut to what's going on here. Man, I got ripped off when I bought this. This isn't the original issue that I got in grade school. I sold my collection like a moron in the 80s, thinking I outgrew comics. But I've been getting them back little by little. Actually, quite a bit. So, here comes Iron Man again. Like Iron City Beer. So somehow he uses a jab to the vital nerve, and he changes back already. He doesn't have to be irradiated. So that's weird. So, whoop, smack, hit the camera. That's like my trademark. So, live and learn, right? No. With Len Wein's first issue of Iron Man, he does it for about a year or so, and then Archie Goodwin comes back. I had covered this before in a episode called The Invincible Herb Trimpe, talking about like the dozen or so issues of Iron Man that Herb Trimpe actually drew. And when I told Herb Trimpe this back in 2009, MegaCon, he was shocked that I asked him to do an Iron Man sketch, and he's like, and he knew it, he memorized the suit, and it was really cool. So you got Jack Abel on the inks, the guy who inked Gene Colan way back when, and had done a lot of inking. So this is like a relationship that went nowhere. It's Roxanne Brand, who is Roxanne something or other, Gilbert, whose brother was the Firebrand, who was a crazy radical guy who had flaming powers. But she sticks around, and it's so weird because it always hinted, like she hated that Tony was a munitions expert and everything, and he does change his ways after a time, but she shows up a lot of places, and there's this suggestion that like romance is in the works, but it really, I think it pretty much stops here. It's so bizarre. So meanwhile, Happy's filling in for Iron Man because the last time he filled in for Iron Man, the Mandarin killed. He didn't kill him. He grabbed him thinking he was the real Iron Man, kidnapped him, and so that was just really dumb. So got the old schnoz there. I never minded the schnoz. That was the first Iron Man I knew. So what happens is Happy Hogan ends up taking a big nasty crash. He gets thrown down by the Super Apes, who are the Red Ghost characters. Marie Severin on the inks. So Red Ghost is holding Tony Stark hostage there, and this thing gets resolved. The thing with the Red Ghost, but the fearsome freak. It's like yeah. If I hadn't talked happen impersonating me, none of this would have ever happened. No, I can't think about that right now. I've got to get the Innovator installed as quickly as possible. Hey, come on. There's nothing wrong with that. We can't proceed without Stark. He'll be here any soon. Zoop, and Pepper's understandably pissed off that Tony talked him into doing put on that costume. Hey, here we go, everybody. It's like a drinking game at this point. No, not the Innovator. Tony, you can't let them use that terrible thing on poor Happy. Every time you use it before, it's turned into a rampaging horror. The hideous freak. Pepper, there's no other way. Somehow I feel like, like if somebody got bitten by a snake and instead of getting anti-venom medicine, he would grab like the Innovator and zap you. Now, just don't turn into a big bald-headed freak. So it's so absurd, but it's goofy fun. He is the freak. getting his freak on. I love that 2-panel progression there. Gets the shit swatted out of him. He's all tangled in there. So he manages to turn him back into Happy Hogan, who grows his hair back. That was another thing. Ben Grimm did that a lot. He always had hair when he was just Ben Grimm, and then when he was a thing, his hairline would recede to nothing, and back and forth. And, to my knowledge, this is the very last time they had that Enervator / Freak storyline ever. For a while in the 70s, there was the illusion of change. That was a very strong thing that Stan, enforced. That he impressed upon Roy Thomas, the second in command. But the only problem is sometimes you would get redundant stories like this. Like, did we need this 2 issues of the Freak again? And after a while, it's like, unless he becomes a vital character in the Marvel Universe, the odds are so absurd, even by comic standards, that this wouldn't happen. But it's all comic. It's all good, and it's my pal Iron Man. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I will talk to you all later.